Hello. What should we be doing? What should we be talking about at this time in our stage of our civilization in terms of how we are going to not only survive, but how are we going to thrive? Well, my name's Art Johnson, and this is my co-creator partner, Sondra Earley. Say something, Sondra.
Hi, Art. How are you doing? And hello to everyone out there in conference land.
So we've been talking about the kind of conversations that matter, what we need to do, not only between ourselves, but internally. I'm being called to do more for myself and for humanity and for the planet in terms of the recent presentations that have been made. And so we've been having this great discussion, haven't we, Sondra, in terms of what we care about. So I thought it would be a good way to start this off, to open this conversation. Right now, we're two people, but we're actually Zoom conferencing platform that's allowing us to have a meeting with not only us two, but actually 98 others. So there actually can be 99 people, smaller thumbnails of people, having a conversation that we hope to snowball. So what's on your mind, Sondra? What are some of the things that are bringing us together that you'd like to talk about?
Well, it's health and wellness, I think, that brings us together, and a stream of consciousness that we can share with our whole human family about various topics. Besides health, there's economics, there's transportation. The family's been talking a lot about the things that bother us, that we as a family, a human family, don't trust ourselves enough to go beyond that. So let's talk about the talk, and then let's talk about action items so that we can start to at least have peace of mind with ourselves and our own families and impact those around us and ultimately the world.
That's a really, really good idea to do that. I've been thinking about that, and the first thing that comes to my mind is a sense of, this is new to us, because mostly it's, young people on YouTube doing their thing, but now we've got us showing up and engaging the world in a conversation that means something. And so there's a certain amount of vulnerability that we need to share, to be vulnerable with, in order to get to the hard, the things that matter, not just nicey kind of things, but the things that we care about. And I know that I'm caring about the planet I think that was a very passionate presentation that was made by Greta Thunberg and the other young man from Florida about letting them down. And so even though I'm an older person, and some of the things that the scientists are telling us in terms of the possibility of a sixth mass extinction could be impacting our children and their grandchildren. And so what are we going to do? What can we work with? And I'm not a pessimist. I'm actually optimistic. I actually have been charged up because we're now using a big reach technology that can do a world of good by getting more people to be part of that conversation. What do you think, Sondra?
I think you're right. I was just thinking about family gatherings or gatherings with folks that are in the workforce, and the conversation is pretty superficial. Most folks don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to talk about money. They don't want to talk about many things except the superficial things. So I think, we're going to have to eventually come to an agreement about what we talk about with our human family. How does that all work? How do we put it together? What's safe? What's interesting? Or the same world view. So I think we're in the right place. no matter how old we are, it's never too late. So I'm excited about the conversation.
You know what really inspires me? Um, if you kind of look at, we talk about human intelligence, but there's new research that talks about heart intelligence, okay? That there are actually a lot more receptors in our heart that deal with our feelings, that send messages to our brain. And I think if we have, what we call, that agreement with heart rhythms and mental rhythms, that we can actually, with a bigger heart, we can actually be more compassionate with each other, more understanding with each other, and go beyond the kind of the barriers that are really, impacting our lives right now. I mean, if you look at the level of discourse that's just in the regular media, it doesn't make me feel good. And I have to pay attention to that feeling good. I think, sometimes, it's just amazing that when I'm in the supermarket and I just meet people, people are a lot friendlier. And I don't know if they're a Republican, or I don't know if they are, I don't know if they're, a Christian or whatever. But when you connect with people, you just connect with people, and the humanity is just oozing all out. It's hard not to be a human being unless you're triggered something by some kind of ideology or something like that that makes you kind of take a position and treat someone as not human. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And so I'm really digging on what you're saying there, Art, because there's a piece of all of this, the particular place that we are in the world today, the disruption, given what we saw maybe 5 years ago, everybody's, I watch families go out to dinner and nobody looks at anybody anymore. They don't look at the clock. The humanity has started to miss.
They're looking at their cell phone more than they're being with each other. Sometimes they're guilty because you're so distracted by this media. Exactly. But I think if you feel it, then, and you can then be it, then you can also do it. And I think what we need to do is just these little things of having a regular meeting and inviting people to watch this video and say, hey, look, you're touching some spots in my heart, or, I'm feeling like, yeah, that could be, that could be neat. And the fact is, the deeper that I look at nature and all that, it seems like, I mean, the only reason I can explain this feeling inside of wholeness or oneness is like seeing it in nature and being exposed to this feeling of wholeness. I can't explain, but I know I got to do something to do more of it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And I've noticed over the past 3 or 4 years that folks have gotten more friendly. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation about, racism, sexism, the Me Too generation, all that kind of stuff. But really, when it comes down to it, we're all aware of those things, about igniting the awareness and looking at people from a human perspective, not just because, of the name, Art Johnson or Sondra Earley, whatever. But it's just that once you get beyond that, you start seeing the human factor. It's not just, the clothes we wear, our physical presence, something like that, but it's even more meaningful to go to the heart. And it's all connected.
Right. And there are people that are doing important work. They're authors with books that have really been written. I've been moved by this book I just started reading, called Dare to Lead. And it is about, taking leadership to a next level where you can't be a leader unless you dare to be vulnerable, unless you dare to be courageous. And, and she cites examples of people that have the courage to speak in languages that speaks to people's hearts and heads, that gets change to happen. And so when we look across society, just about every area of society is bordering at a turning point of crises, right? I mean, crises sometimes are really good because if you look at evolution, there are certain stages in evolution where things look like they're falling apart, and then from out of that chaos comes whole new civilization or whole new organisms. And so maybe we're part of a transformational process that's more intelligent than we think. When you look out at nature and you see how much beauty there is and how, you know, our very breaths are all coordinated with heart rhythms and the harmonics of the universe, and how we can even through human language move to this level with even all the conflict in the world, where we're actually using a technology that's close to that, to almost being free in order to express ourselves. So we're in a kind of like the world is kind of coming together and giving us new ways to be human, right? New ways to express ourselves that I think I'm very excited to explore. But anyway, so anyway, yes.
Yeah, I think what we're looking at here, and there's probably a lot of terms to describe it, the revolution. You know, we've been talking about the revolution coming for many years. We're looking for holistic change because now we realize that it's all connected, as you point out, the universe, the stars, the moon, the aging. We look at some of the things that the young folks, Joanne Jenkins, who is, I believe she's the CEO of AARP, she's written a book that's just coming out that's called Disrupting Aging. And so, you know, we think that's 50-plussers, but look at the young people, the young children that are speaking out about, you know, a holistic change. Even they realize we're the wisdom bearers and they're the action.
Yeah.
Fruition. So I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, and they're being informed and they're being moved and they're mobilizing themselves. It just really, 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 you know, really moved by that. And it's not just, you know, not just anger, I hate you, blah, 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 but it's a passionate appeal to people's humanity and their common sense to do something that's righteous and, you know, worthy. So I think we're going to be able to use this platform to communicate that in a very, very good way so that the message gets spread. So we actually create a movement, a movement of goodness. I'm being called to, you know, be a messenger of good and attract more of it like you are. And I think health and wellness is really good. If we understand health and wellness in a broader idea than just mental or bodily health, but, you know, a healthy economy, a healthy environment, right? Healthy education, meaningful education, inclusive education. And then we look at positive aspects of applications of technology that can help us even to monitor our health and even be more healthy. I'm seeing amazing things coming out of the healthcare industry that could really prolong life and you know, help ameliorate people's pain without the kind of drug stuff and not the overkill and all that. So I am very, very excited to this. So I think I'd just like to wrap this up. You know, here's a story. We got a 3-part story, okay? People kind of going along trying to do business as usual, but then change has happened, right? And when that change happens, it moves into a whole new area of a new set of challenges that are really like opportunities in disguise. Opportunities for us to step up to the plate and say, okay, let's look at this challenge, but let's flip it and see what opportunity is the hidden seed of opportunity that is within that challenge. And the world just opens up and we start tapping into the law of infinite supply and the forces of creation that created us, that we're a part of, that we can help extend. So this is a joyous moment for me. So let's stop on that note and talk about that. And people, if you like what we're saying, please subscribe to our channel, comment on this, share this on your social platforms and all that. And we're going to be coming to you to ask for feedback. We need to know from you, what do you care about? What matters to you at whatever phase in your life? You could be like my 3.5-year-old granddaughter, but you could also be someone my age who's a baby boomer, or you could be a millennial, or a Gen Xer. We all care, we all age, and we all need to come of age in a heartfelt, in a mindful way to help not only prevent extinction, but to not only just survive, but to thrive. And that's what we're talking about. Okay?
I agree with you.
All right. Well, thank you. Talk to you soon, and I'll see you later.
Right.
Bye-bye.